So it seems that Nintendo have decided to tackle those leaks head on by just announcing the Switch 2 with a quick, short teaser trailer. No pre warning, no YouTube premiere, no tweets, just a quick trailer, and I love it. Like the rest of the internet, I am so excited for the Switch 2 because it has been a long time coming. Now, I said it was a long time coming, but really it only has been 8 years since the Switch 1 dropped, which is the industry average when it comes to console releases. But it feels like we've been waiting for the Switch 2 or a Switch Pro for a very long time. And that's probably due to the fact that the Switch 1 has just been showing its age for quite a while. Some newer releases like Tears of the Kingdom have really suffered due to the weaker hardware of the original Switch, and we've all seen those pictures of Hogwarts Legacy where the Switch version just looks absolutely abysmal. So a brand new, stronger, better Switch 2 is something that Nintendo really needs. Now, other than the fact that the Switch 2 is coming out, we know next to nothing. We'll get more information soon in April, but at the moment, we know nothing. This teaser trailer really just gave us a look at what it looks like. But looking at the teaser trailer, there's a little bit we can pick up on. But first, I'm going to start off by saying that I really like the name. I like that it's just Switch 2. So simple, so straightforward. You know what it is. It doesn't have to be the Switch something, just straightforward. I love Xbox. I have an Xbox Series X. I really like it. But my God, did I have to think when I was buying it? Was I buying the most recent Xbox or was I buying one of the old ones? So thankfully, Nintendo is keeping it nice and simple. The new Switch 2 is just bigger. It is bigger than the Switch 1 by a mile. And the all over general design is the same, it just looks like a bigger Switch. But I think that's a good thing, they didn't need to reinvent the Switch's design. I've seen a few people put online that they're a little bit disappointed that the Switch 2 doesn't look very different from the Switch 1, which I can understand when you look at the other consoles like the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5. They look very different. But there is a difference when you're looking at the design choices of the PlayStation and Xbox versus the Switch. While the PlayStations and Xboxes may change appearance from console to console, their controllers don't really. The controllers always stay the same. Yeah, they might get a little bit chunkier, they might add a touchpad or something like that, but for the most part, the PlayStation's controller hasn't changed that much. Visually, it still looks a lot like the original PlayStation 1 controller, which makes sense because the controller should look and feel the same for the players. Nintendo can't really afford to change the design of the Switch too much because, unlike other consoles, the Switch is both the controller and the console. If they changed it up too much, it just wouldn't feel like the Switch anymore. And since the Switch is the third best selling console of all time, it makes sense that they'd play it safe and just make a few different artistic changes to the Switch's design. Which is a bit strange for Nintendo, as they have a tendency to really mix it up when they're designing their consoles. The new console very rarely looks anything like the previous generation. Now, as I said, there's not a lot of changes, but there are some. I think one of the most evident is the lack of colour on the Joy-Cons. It's still there around the thumbsticks and the part of the Joy-Cons that connects to the screen, but that's about it. Honestly, I'm not really sure how I feel about this. I like the original Switch having its colourful Joy-Cons. Hopefully this is just the default one that comes with the Switch, and there's more Joy-Cons you can buy separately like there was with the original Switch. Now, like the screen and the rest of the Switch, the Joy-Cons are a lot bigger, and I think this is a very good thing. Anyone who's played on a Switch and has had to use a single Joy-Con knows how fiddly they can be. So making the Joy-Cons just a little bit bigger would probably make those big multiplayer sessions a little less of a hassle. Now, we can see in the trailer that the Joy-Con connects to the screen very differently than it did with the Switch 1. With the Switch 1, it just slid in and out of the holder on the side of the screen. But here it seems to just connect directly into it. Previous leaks had suggested that there were pins that would connect the Joy-Con to the screen, and we can see in the trailer those pins right here. But in my opinion, those pins do look a little bit weak, so I wonder if there's something else that'll help hold the Joy-Con to the screen. Perhaps magnets or something like that. The new Switch 2 also has a secondary USB-C port right here on the top. We can also see that the right-hand Joy-Con has a new button just below the home screen button. I have no idea why the Switch 2 could use a second USB port or a new button on the right Joy-Con, but if you have any ideas of either of them, do let me know down in the comments below. Now, the Switch 2 does have a few other design changes, mainly around the stand and the dock. The stand is now more of a thin frame that goes around the entire Switch and has a lot more flexibility. This is very different than the small single stand on the original Switch, or the really big chunky one on the OLED Switch. For the most part, the dock is also exactly the same as it was. The corners are just a bit more rounded, but that's about it. Now, we don't know anything about what games will be coming to the Switch 2, but we did get a bit of a tease of a new Mario Kart, so hopefully we will be getting that and a few more new games as well. But it's probably a safe bet to say that a lot of the games that have been announced for the Switch to come out this year are probably going to be on the Switch 2 as well. This includes games like Professor Layton and the New World of Steam, the new Pokemon Legends, and Little Nightmares 3. And it's going to be really interesting to see how these games that have already been announced are going to play on both the original Switch 1 and the new Switch 2. Because odds are the games that are going to come out on both Switches will probably be held back from their full potential. It's basic knowledge in the video game industry that if you have a game that comes out on both a new generation and a previous generation, then it doesn't really reach the high standards and potential of that new generation. We've seen this with plenty of games on PlayStation and Xbox, so odds are some of these newer Switch games won't be that great on the Switch 2. However, one thing we definitely know about games on the Switch 2 is that it will have backwards compatibility for both physical and digital games, and this is very, very good. I'm really happy to see that backwards compatibility is going to be a part of the Switch 2. I love a lot of my Switch games, Mario Odyssey, Mario Party, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and a lot of others, and I don't want to have to give them up just to upgrade to the Switch 2. Now, the post that does say that backward compatibility is a thing does clarify that it's not a guarantee for every game, but it doesn't specify why this is. My own theory is that maybe this just reflects the third party games. Games that are going to come across multiple consoles just might not be able to be backward compatible with the Switch 2. So maybe backwards compatibility will only work with original Nintendo games. That's really it. That's all the information we've gotten and all the information I've been able to speculate on. But thankfully, we don't have to wait too much longer. On April 2nd, we will get a showcase that will hopefully have a lot of new information. Alongside this as well, Nintendo have confirmed that there'll be multiple public events where we can see the Switch 2, so hopefully we'll be able to get our hands on them if you live in any of these locations. As for April 2nd, I'm hoping that we're going to get some confirmation of what games we'll see on the Switch 2 and some idea of the hardware as well. I really want to know how the Switch 2 is going to hold up to the PS5 and the Xbox X, and how much of a jump has happened between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, especially when it comes to battery life. I love the Switch 1, but the battery's not the best, at least in my opinion anyway. And maybe if we're lucky, we'll get an idea of price and release date. We know it's coming in 2025, but I think it's probably going to be a post summer release, maybe sometime around September or leading up to the holidays would make a lot of sense as well. And hopefully the price isn't too terrible. But what do you guys think of the Switch 2? Are you excited? Are you definitely going to get it day one? You're going to wait for the price to drop? Is it going to depend on what games come out around the same time as well? Also, I'd recommend checking back here on April 2nd because when we get more information on the Switch 2, I will definitely be talking about it. But if you did like this video, do give it a like and a comment because it's greatly appreciated in helping the channel grow and we can start a bit of discussion down there about the Switch 2. Don't forget you can check me out on other platforms like Twitter, Medium and TikTok, and you can subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all content going forward. And I shall see you all next time.